Deep in the Amazon, something is hunting. Not a jaguar, not a snake, not anything you can see with the naked eye. It moves through the soil, through the air, through the bodies of living creatures, and it has been doing this for over 48 million years. Scientists found its victims preserved in fossilized leaves, bite marks locked in amber, proof that this invisible predator was already perfecting its technique before humans ever existed. We are talking about a fungus, but not just any fungus. This one has figured out how to hijack a living brain, override every instinct in the creature's body, and turn it into a perfectly programmed suicide machine. And here is the part that should genuinely disturb you. Scientists still cannot fully explain how it works. In the next 4 minutes, you're going to discover one of the most terrifying biological weapons on Earth. And then you're going to discover the even more extraordinary invisible army fighting back against it. Welcome to the Amazon's zombie war. The Ophiocordyceps fungus, the real-life inspiration behind The Last of Us, begins its attack not with claws or venom, but with a single microscopic spore. An ant walks across the jungle floor, brushes against a spore, and in that single moment, its fate is sealed. The spore pierces the ant's exoskeleton and begins to grow, not just inside the body, but threading itself through every muscle fiber, every joint, every limb. Here's where it gets deeply unsettling. The fungus does not destroy the brain. It leaves the brain completely intact. Instead, it wraps chemical-secreting threads around every single muscle in the ant's body, essentially building a second nervous system layered directly over the first. The ant is still alive, still feeling, still, in some sense, aware, but it no longer controls its own body. What happens next will completely change how you see the concept of free will. The infected ant begins to behave in ways that make no biological sense for its survival. It abandons the colony, which for an ant is the equivalent of a human walking away from every source of food, shelter, and safety on Earth. It starts climbing, not randomly, not instinctively, with terrifying precision. Scientists from Penn State University discovered that these infected ants consistently climb to a height of exactly 25 centimeters above the jungle floor, never higher, never lower. At that precise height, temperature and humidity are perfectly calibrated for one thing: maximum fungal growth. The ant then bites down onto a leaf vein, a grip so powerful it has been measured surviving the ant's death. The mandibles lock, the body freezes, and then the fungus kills its host and begins to grow. A stalk erupts from the back of the ant's head, reaching upward, loaded with thousands of new spores. Those spores rain down directly onto the foraging trails below, infecting the next wave of ants with surgical efficiency. In 30 seconds, you are going to discover why the entire colony has not already been wiped out. And the answer involves a secret biological war that science only recently uncovered. For years, scientists assumed ant colonies simply lost members to the zombie fungus the way we lose people to disease, inevitably, hopelessly. Then they started watching more carefully. Healthy ants in infected nests displayed a behavior that had no explanation. They would detect an infected nestmate before any visible symptoms appeared, carry it away from the colony, and deposit it far from the nest. They were diagnosing a disease they could not see, using chemical signals that science is still working to fully decode. But that was only the first layer of defense. The deeper discovery, the one that genuinely stunned the scientific community, was waiting in the fungus itself. In 2012, a team of researchers studying Ophiocordyceps infections made an observation that rewrote everything we thought we knew about this system. The zombie fungus, the apex biological weapon of the jungle floor, was itself being attacked. A separate, entirely distinct hyperparasitic fungus, a fungus that parasitizes other fungi, had evolved specifically and exclusively to target Ophiocordyceps. Its name, Escovopsis class hyperparasites, and they operate with breathtaking chemical precision. When the zombie fungus begins to fruit, when the stalk erupts from the dead ant's head and prepares to release its spores, the hyperparasite moves in. It chemically castrates the zombie fungus. It does not kill it outright, it simply shuts down its ability to reproduce, neutralizing the spore payload before a single new spore can fall. The zombie fungus remains, grotesque, frozen on its dead ant, but biologically neutered, unable to spread, unable to complete its mission. The ant colony, completely unaware of this invisible war being fought on its behalf, continues its work meters away. This is not a recent development. Researchers believe this hyperparasitic relationship has been co-evolving for millions of years, a biological arms race older than the Amazon rainforest itself. Here's what the scientists realized when they mapped this entire system together. The Amazon is not a passive landscape. It's an active, layered, self-regulating immune system, operating at a chemical level so complex that we are only beginning to read its language. Every species in this war, the fungus, the ant, and the hyperparasite, is locked in a cycle of attack and counterattack refined across tens of millions of years. Remove any single piece and the balance collapses. Scientists now believe that studying the chemical signals used by hyperparasitic fungi could unlock entirely new classes of antifungal medicine, treatments for diseases that currently have no cure. The jungle floor, which looks like nothing but mud and dead leaves, is producing the next generation of human medicine, and it has been doing so silently, invisibly, for 48 million years, long before there was anyone to notice. The last question is the one that stays with you. If a microscopic fungus can override the nervous system of a living creature with this level of precision, threading its will through every muscle, locking behavior to the exact centimeter, what else in nature is doing something we haven't yet discovered?